Now, Romania's chief of police have been fired for the apparent murder of a teenage girl whose repeated emergency calls went unanswered for hours. The 15-year-old was abducted on Wednesday but managed to make 3 calls and give officers details about where she was being held. Her family say officers did not take her calls seriously, while police say they had difficulty tracing her. John Ironmonger reports.
The kidnap of 15-year-old Alexandra Mașesanu has sparked outrage across Romania, and members of her family have joined large protests expressing their fury with the police's handling of the case. The girl rang 112 3 times, her aunt says, but they arrived after 19 hours. That's how long it took for officers to enter her suspected abductor's house in Caracul, despite Alexandra's repeated calls to the emergency services to report her kidnap and provide details of her location. The authorities said police initially struggled to trace the call, but having reached the property, they wasted 6 hours waiting for a warrant that wasn't required. Once inside, officers found fragments of human bones in a barrel, as well as pieces of Alexandra's clothing and jewellery. This man, George Dinka, has been arrested on suspicion of child trafficking, and the 66-year-old was forced to be present during the searches of his home.
We
focus today on the collection of different types of criminalistic samples. Genetic tests are required in order to establish whether there are bone remains belonging to different people.
Alexandra's abduction bears similarities with the disappearance in April of another local girl, 18-year-old Luisa Melenciu, and it's now feared her remains could also be found at the property.
We don't know anything for now, if she's dead or not. She's a great child, what can I say? This is outrageous.
Responding to the apparent failings in the case, the Interior Minister said he wouldn't tolerate police workers who didn't do their job properly, and has fired the Chief of Police, who was made to appear alongside him at a press conference. I accept my dismissal, Mr. Buda said, since we had some inadequate interventions that I hold myself responsible for. The investigation, meanwhile, is rapidly developing, as searches of a lake near the suspect's property revealed a suitcase filled with clothes and the remains of a partly burnt human body. The failure to rescue a teenage girl has shone a spotlight on Romania's police and prosecutors, who are now under intense pressure to get a grip on this case. John Ironmonger, BBC News.